This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Red lights are off, away we go.
Da müssen die Positionen hergeben.
¡Wow! ¡Qué adelantamiento!
Speed auf der Bremse.
Here they go, flat out, really good stuff.
Tremenda pelea.
The two cars make contact.
Unglaublich.
¡Wow! ¡Qué pelea!
Was war das für ein Rennen?
This is Racing Unleashed.
Hello everyone, welcome to Racing Unleashed. We're in round 3 of our championship. A very good morning to you and a good morning to one of our special friends from Racing Unleashed, Fabian Vettel.
Hey guys, unfortunately I couldn't be there today in the racing lounge in Munich because I'm at the Salzburgring in Austria at the racetrack. I will be driving there today and yeah, that's why I'm not there, but my fingers are crossed. I hope to see some great racing in the live stream. I will be watching, of course, and wish you all the best and have a lot of fun.
Oh, we're sure to, Fabian. Thank you so much. So here we are then in one of our racing lounges. What can we expect today? Well, it is the 3rd round of our Racer League Championship, and our drivers will be using these simulators, which are awesome. The Formula X Hybrid Evo 2022. Not only that, of course, we have our knockout qualifying, we have our gear up practice session, then of course the race to come as well. In addition to that, we will be checking in with our Chief Fitness Officer, Ralph Muller. But before any of that, let's take a look at some of the racing action that we've already seen. Where are we racing this weekend? Monza, the Temple of Speed. And of course, before our racing league gets underway yesterday, our Challenger League drivers were in action on the Temple of Speed at Monza. Oh, we're held for a long time on the lights as the cars are released now. Let's go racing. Welcome to Racing Unleashed with Strife already at the back of the pack. This is our championship race 3 here in Monza. Now, what did I say about this being something of a funnel through the Variante de Rettifio as cars go everywhere? So Lorenzo Hayder then, who has got the measure of Tiziano Caponio and puts himself into the lead. Rivoli, I said, was going to be one to watch. P3, Valverde P4, David Seed now P4 as he gets past Rivoli and gets past Valverde, but then Seed suddenly comes back as well. Focus on David Seed as he tries to get the draft off the back of the car. Hayder tries to break it. Seed is on the inside line now. Heavy braking into that turn. Who will come out ahead? Surely it's David Seed as we watch Fabian Mayer and Michael Frey. But David Seed has picked up the lead from Lorenzo Hayder with that move into turn number 1. Watching Matthias Dalla Rosa pursuing Antonio Rivoli, and he gets the draft off the back here. So let's watch. Is this going to be P6 turning into P5 as Matthias Dalla Rosa dives to the inside now? And surely it's job done. A brilliant overtake. Side by side. Really dodgy. Somebody has got to yield. Inside, outside. Who is going to be the winner of this little battle? I think it is going to be Yannick Schmidt, who just stuck his elbows out and was absolutely determined, but this is not over yet around the Curva Grande. Oh, and it's a 3-way fight going on now. This is fantastic stuff. Whoa! And big strife there into the pit wall as Marcus Valverde then has recovered. But of course his P3 place now becomes P4. And now Ciro Zambra is under pressure from this man, Joshua Hayder. So they go side by side then. Whoa, big late braking. Actually managed to get the car rotated into the turn. The final lap. Are we going to see a change in the podium positions? Lorenzo Hayder and Tiziano Caponio have had a brilliant race where it's been really firm but fair between both of them. Who is it going to be? And all the way around the outside, but another masterclass by David Seed crossing the line. Lorenzo Hayder takes P2, Tiziano Caponio P3. And Tiziano Caponio, they're doing some donuts here to celebrate.
However, the celebrations were somewhat short-lived because of a post-race penalty. Tiziano Caponio got moved back a place to P4, therefore elevating Marcus Valverde to P3.
So looking pretty happy then on screen is Marcus Valverde with the medal and the handshake. Well done as P2 is awarded, and the applause to Mr. Hayder then, who puts his medal on with some pride. And here comes David Seed then on the top step, P1. Now, the medal going across will make him smile a little bit. Oh, it was full of emotion yesterday, and do you know what? The whole Challenger League, it all started in the gear-up session and then the knockout qualifying, which did exactly what it's designed to do. It drove some fantastic entertainment because it's almost like another race, and we're going to get to enjoy that, of course, with our Racer League drivers today. Hello. Situated here in my lovely, comfortable studio, and a big thanks to Nick, who's brought me a cup of tea already. You can't see it on screen because that would be unprofessional, but there we are. Talk about get looked after here. Fantastic stuff. We've got so much to look forward to in our program today then, and if the racing is half as good as we saw in the Challenger League yesterday from our Racer League drivers today, we are in for an absolute treat. This is Racing Unleashed as we go beyond the Pinnacle in 2022, and we're racing then at the Temple of Speed in Monza, the fastest track on our championship, and it's a big championship this year. Here indeed is the calendar. We've already been to the Red Bull Ring and Nürburgring. Here we are in Monza. Then we head off to Mugello, and then Brands Hatch and Silverstone, Spa-Francorchamps through the Ardennes Forest in Belgium, the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona in September, then the Zurich Airport Circuit, which is a fantastic challenge, and then we round out the championship series on the 12th and 13th of November in Imola in Italy. And not only that, we do have another race after the championship is all concluded, because we will be having a very special race entitled the Battle for Glory. It's a non-championship event, and here is the prize money for just that race, the Battle for Glory. If you take P1 as a challenger driver, you bank 1,000 Swiss francs. As a racer, if you take P1, then it's $2.5 grand in your hand. So big money. And the prize pot this year is some 200,000 Swiss francs. So our Battle for Glory then at a secret track, I know not where. I promise you. I would tell you if I did. It's on December the 11th and will feature both the Challenger League and the Racer League drivers. So that is an absolute must. You've got to be part of it because it will be awesome. I promise you. So that's the way it looks then as our year shapes up, and I can't believe we're already into championship round 3 now here at Monza. And this is the prize money. I was just explaining then, there's 200,000 Swiss francs in the prize pot, and this is how it's made up, you see. If you take the P1 position for a Racer League driver, and it's the Racer League drivers we'll be watching today, look, 3,500 Swiss francs you get for taking P1, 2.5 for P2, 1,500 for P3, and P4 still banks you $1 grand, and of course the prize money runs all the way down to P10. That of course also applies to the championship points as well, which is absolutely critical, because every driver that will be taking their seat in a simulator today wants to win the championship, of course. Now, Monza, the Temple of Speed then, let's take a look at this extraordinary track. And the start-finish straight is a very, very long, speedy one. The Temple of Speed, La Pista Magica, 5.793 kilometers, 4 left-handers, 7 right-handers, 580 meters from the start to turn number 1, and as I said, the fastest circuit on the calendar, where drivers will reach in excess of 350 kilometers per hour. Let's take a look at it in detail then. And right at the start, you need to get it absolutely right. And track position is everything, because here comes the first funnel. It is the Variante Retafio, this chicane, where you can try and go 2 abreast. It doesn't always work, and many people have found to their cost that it doesn't necessarily. And that's also the case when it comes to the second chicane, the Variante Rogia. And here, this can be the scene of an overtake or a problem or two. Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. Well, they're high-speed turns, and again, just get it wrong and you can be in all sorts of strife running out into the gravel. Very fast is the Variante Ascari. You carry a lot of speed through there, using just as much curb as you dare before the Parabolica. The Curva Parabolica, where you can run around the outside and position yourself perfectly, because you need to, for the run down the start-finish straight and into the Retafio once again. There is the finish line approaching, and this is the Temple of Speed, Monza. And already we are in to our gear-up session then, where our drivers go out for what is effectively a free practice session to get their eye in on this extraordinary circuit, situated in one of the royal parks in Monza, just around about 50 minutes by car from central Milan. David Latamata we're watching now. David Latamata is situated in our lounge in Kemptal, and a welcome to all our lounges, whether it is here in Kemptal or Zurich or Madrid or Munich or Calm. You're all very welcome. Michael Schmiedl then, of course, hugely successful driver, and Michael Schmiedl then having a very good time of it in the championship so far, and he'll be hoping to continue that quest across the course of today. He, of course, leads the championship points going into this round, ahead of Javier Loro and Angelo Michel. So Michael Schmiedl then at the moment a 1:46.160. There he is then inside the simulator here in he's in Munich, in our racing lounge in Munich. And at this point I'd like to say a very good afternoon to our friends that are watching us in China. It is afternoon local time in China, and good afternoon to you as we watch Jan Teufen then. Currently P17 with a 1:53.477. Expect more to come in the next 7 minutes from Jan Teufen and from all the other drivers as well, as Besnik Motezi is on his out lap, just getting the tyres and everything up to temperature before he goes for what is colloquially known as a hot lap. But of course, none of the lap times count in this gear up session. Here is Besnik Motezi then. And this is a great onboard shot. We split the screen so you can see the front of the car and also see him as Javier Loro. Currently P5 in a 1:44.73. 1:44.73. And Javier Loro then situated in Madrid in Spain. And just coming out of the Parabolica now, breaking the timing beam and going for another run. And if we stay with this picture, you'll see that the drivers leave braking to the absolute final moment, passing the marker boards beyond the 50-meter board before braking into this Variante Retafio. Brave beyond brave. And Javier Loro's got a benchmarker ahead of him. Roger Marte, who is situated in our lounge in Kemptal. And he is going for it now. We're running the clock on Roger Marte with just under 6 minutes of this session remaining. There's Roger, situated literally within a meter or so of our studio, our broadcast studio here. So Roger Marte then in Kemptal, who Roger Marte needs to bank some points really, because he's languishing in P16 in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, so he knows he needs to work really, really hard today. Angelo Michel, conversely, runs P3 in the Drivers' Championship after 3 events. And at the moment, he needs to find some time out there on track, because he is sitting in P21. among the drivers who have put times down on the track so far. So the tarmac here at Monza, it's one of those iconic circuits and one of those iconic track surfaces as well. Of course, you can see how various bits have been resurfaced over the years because Monza gets a lot of use, and Angelo Michel showing us exactly how to use that turn. Did that beautifully through Parabolica, and now to the start-finish straight. You'll see the drivers are almost inclined to hug the pit wall as they're heading up towards the Variante Rettifio, and that's where we find Angelo Michel now, leaving braking until you or I would think, God damn it, would have braked a lot quicker than Angelo Michel did, but he proves how it can be done when you're a really good driver like he is, and so too is Dominic Dedic, who is currently P4. It's Smeedle who's quickest. Here is Dominic Dedic then. Oh, and I wouldn't have said that was the perfect line through that chicane. He'll be a bit disappointed with that, but he has got 4 minutes left to go again, and as I say, the times count for nothing at the moment. Enrique Marinon involved in a bit of a battle there, as Enrique Marinon wants to get by the car in front of him, and thus far has not been able to. It's Smeedle, Holstein, Wojciech Polesny showing good again with a P3 in our gear-up session. Then it's Dominic Dedic, David Ladamada, Devin Iskro, Loris Mistretta, then it's Hirsch, Farland, Vonneberg, Peringa, Murtetzi, and Kevin Abbey then rounding out the top 13 at the moment. This is Mark Gasner, who is in Munich with traffic ahead of him. Through the gearbox, weaving from side to side to generate some temperature. Sebastian Hirsch then, who is currently ninth fastest. It's about a second down on the fastest time, which came early on in the session from Michael Smeedle. This is Sebastian Hirsch then through the Rettifio, heading down towards the Curva Grande now. And there it is. It's a long, sweeping turn where you carry so much speed. Florian Haase, who is on an outlap, hasn't posted a time yet. Javier Loro, incidentally, has gotten within 2/100ths of Michael Smeedle's time in this gear-up session. Here's Florian Haase then. Breaking down one gear into fifth now, back up to sixth again before braking. Just a little tap on the brake pedal. And now full chat flat once again through the gearbox. Vonneberg, oh, big save. Saved it on the right-hand side. Did he connect on the left-hand side? I think he may have done. Kevin Abbey and another driver off as well. So it's Smeedle from Loro from Holstein. Then it's Polesny, Michel, then Dedic, Iskro, Marinon, and Ladamada rounding out the top 10 as some wheels barged there with Kevin Abbey, who manages to keep it on the tarmac and runs down now behind the paddock here at Monza, where we reach the final 2 minutes of our session, our gear-up session in Racing Unleashed, as we go beyond the Pinnacle in 2022. And Angelo Michel has gone to the top of the chart. He has taken 4/100ths out of Michael Smeedle's previous time, and that means Angelo Michel is the fastest driver on the track. It's pretty academic because this is just a gear-up session. But if he can carry this speed into our knockout, and bearing in mind that the likes of Angelo Michel and Javier Loro and Michael Smeedle will be starting right at the back of the pack for the knockout qualifying. Here's Wojciech Polesny. Suffered some bad luck last time around at the Nürburgring. He'll be hoping for Lady Luck to be on his side because he has extraordinary race pace and the ability to really work hard in overtaking. And certainly did that in bucketfuls at the Nürburgring. Is he going to be able to repeat the feat here in Monza? Well, of course, a little bit later on today, we will be finding out. So, under a minute remaining in our gear-up session, as Loris Mistretta, who is not where we would perhaps expect him to be, P6, and that won't have helped his charge up the timing order as he runs through the gravel and the grass. So, there you can see... it's never easy, and the knockout phase then, as I say, it's academic really, the times that we see posted, because of course it is not the knockout qualifying that we will be getting into next. So that merely our gear up practice session. And well done to all the drivers. It was really, really entertaining. And we saw one or two drivers in strife, and then, as you could see, a real battle going on with Michael Smiedel as to who was going to set the best time. And of course, it does give you a confidence boost going into the qualifying, the knockout, if you are quickest. Here's how the qualifying works then. On lap 1, you're out behind the safety car, absolutely no overtaking. Laps 2 and 3 are guarded laps where we lose no drivers, and overtaking, as you can see from the graphics, is allowed. And those drivers that will be starting right at the back of the pack, it's really intrinsic that they get past as many cars as possible. From lap 4 on, we lose 2 drivers. 2 drivers are eliminated at the end of every lap. And then that runs all the way through to the final laps where we see effectively a fight out for pole position. It's kind of like a super pole competition. Absolutely love it. The way knockout has been designed is to really up the entertainment value. Let's take a look at then our summary of the qualifying. And this is what it looked like last time around. So I was explaining there about how this knockout works and how I love it from the entertainment point of view. I'm not the only person that loves it from an entertainment point of view. Our influencer, JWW, is also a big fan of our knockout qualifying.
Okay, next up is a video showcasing the new knockout format. This is in contrast to a conventional qualifying format, but importantly, you'll see the success of the way this thing is now playing out. There's incredible racing action, lots of overtaking, and most importantly, it's kept it really exciting.
First, all of our drivers start an introductory lap behind the safety car, the so-called lineup. Overtaking is of course prohibited here. This is followed by the guarded laps. You can drive freely and overtake for 2 laps here. The pilots can try to position themselves better and need not to fear elimination. It isn't until the end of the 4th lap that the last 2 drivers in the field get hit, putting them at the end of the grid.
So Yannick Vonenberg, unfortunately, his Q session, his knockout qualifying is done and dusted.
This elimination continues lap after lap until the pole setter is determined. It's pure action until the end. And Dominik Dedic makes it particularly exciting. In the lead, almost throwing the car away in the last corner.
My goodness me, that was a moment and a half. And yeah, it's all very well laugh about it, but my goodness, that was a big, big save, Dominik Dedic.
I consider myself quite relaxed when I'm driving, so that's good. Obviously, I had that one mistake last race, which was a bit out of character, which I'm a bit annoyed with, but other than that, I think I can handle my pressure pretty well.
Many drivers are initially skeptical about the new mode, but the enthusiasm of the fans is contagious. And the results are convincing too. Michael Smiedel from 20th to 5th place in the knockout and then to 1st place in the race. The go-getter. Or 14-year-old Michael Frey moved up from 16th to 8th in the Challenger League. And the fit and fast participant Thomas Herzog makes it from 20 to 7. What a training with Racing Unleashed CFO Ralf Möller can do.
Sure, it's fantastic for watching the race. So it's you have a lot of unexpected situations. Yeah, it's a system like this season. So you have it's for everyone the same. So you make the best from the situation, and yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes not.
And the inner tension is enormous because you are challenged lap after lap. The pulse is constant at 150, he says.
In every session I have my heart rate on my chest, so I'm pretty nervous. Exactly on the first 2 laps I'm so exhausted in the car. After the race in front of the race I make with my hands, I make like this, so it's difficult. Yeah.
Angelo Michel is the high achiever at the beginning of the season. winner of the prologue, second in the first race and moved up from 21st to 8th last time. And for him it is clear, the show must go on and the drivers are there for it.
For the spectators, it's the best thing ever, because if you put the slowest drivers in front and the fastest driver in the back, it will be always action, because the fastest one wants to go into the front as fast as possible, and the slowest driver knows that that's the best position they maybe can the whole race, so they will defend it like crazy. I think it's, for a spectator point of view, it's just brilliant, but for a driver, it's very difficult.
The new knockout format, an extreme challenge for the drivers, not to be surpassed in terms of excitement, and in the first balance, a complete success. So let's see what the show has in store for us here in Monza.
This is Racing Unleashed beyond the Pinnacle.
I absolutely love it. And I know the drivers were skeptical, but as has been proven in that film that you watched, the drivers can make progress during the knockout qualifying, and indeed do. And that's where we're at right now here in Monza. The car's being taken out by the safety car. Then they have that series of guarded laps where we don't eliminate two drivers. But then the eliminations start, lap after lap after lap. And as you can see, it's the front runners that are all starting at the back. So the likes of Smeedle and others have to overtake all of the cars ahead of them. Nico Farland is the driver that is right at the start of the pack, and therefore he can hopefully get clear track ahead of him once the safety car has peeled off into the pit lane and be ahead of the game. He'll be going for every single lap that he can. But the likes of Smeedle, Loro, Mikel, Marinon, Dedic, Holstein, Polesny, Hassa, Mistretta, Kaufman, all of those cars going to be right up his trumpet, wanting to make progress as well. So the safety car leads them around the 5.793 kilometers of this Monza circuit. Then the 4 left-handers, 7 right-handers are waiting, and the drivers weaving from side to side, generating temperature into those tyres, ready to be released once the safety car does peel off into the pit lane. For my money, Knockout has become like another race. It's like a reversed grid race, and absolutely love it, because it really does drive the action. The other thing to consider is that it's short and sharp, and those drivers need to make progress, with 2 drivers being eliminated on every single lap. Running down behind the paddock now, and you can see that Nico Farland knows what he's got to do, and it's his responsibility now to control the pace, because the safety car around the Parabolica will be peeling off into the pit lane at the conclusion of that turn. And Nico Farland will be released, as will all the other drivers, to give it a footful on the loud pedal, and that's exactly what he does. It's the guarded laps initially. You can still overtake, but you're not going to be eliminated. So it's Nico Farland from Vonenberger, from Hirsch, from Devin Isgro, and this is Michael Smeedle already overtaking cars. Then we saw how quick he was in our Gear Up free practice session. So into this funnel, which is the Variante Rettifio, the very first chicane, and thankfully all drivers through there without any problems whatsoever. Now Smeedle, you can see the targets in front of him, and that's what he considers every driver ahead of him to be. It's a target. He's already got past Javier Loro. David Ladamada is doing some overtaking as well. So is Roger Marte and Jan Teufen. Nico Farland still leading this knockout qualifying session. He's got some 4/10 over Yannick Vonenberg. Here's Wojciech Polesny, another driver that really impressed me at Nürburgring. Will he be as impressive today as he avoids a stricken car? Good awareness there from Wojciech Polesny, who finds himself in P13. Smeedle has already passed 3 cars, having gone by Loro, Hassa and Peringa. So Smeedle on a mission, so too Angelo Michel and Enrique Marinon and Dominic Dedic. Here is Javier Loro in Madrid then. Cool, calm customer, as you can see, as we split the screen and allow you to see him in the cockpit of this fantastic simulator, as he rounds out the Parabolica and heads for home and crosses the timing line. So the order is Farland, Hirsch, Vonenberg, then it's Isgro and Strife then through this funnel, which is turn number 1, the first chicane, the Variante to Rettifio. That has advantaged no end of drivers, including AB, Mertezzi, Ladamada, Vediga, Gazna, Polesny, all taken advantage of that. Enrique Marinon up to P14. Javier Loro up to P17. Michael Smeedel is up to P16. Make that P15 now as he goes past Yannick Vonenberger. So, lots and lots of drivers doing lots of overtaking. Roger Marte losing out. Here is Michael Smeedel then, leading the Drivers' Championship going into this round here in Monza. And he is and adopts a winner-takes-all strategy when it comes to the knockout qualifying, because he knows he needs to get by as many of those cars as he possibly can. Same is true of Angelo Michel, who is a couple of places down on Michael Smeedel. Here is Angelo Michel then. You can see him using the slipstream now to great effect. And is he going to go from P16 to 15? I really rather think so, but it's a long way around the outside here. You've got to have so much confidence in the car, but it positions him perfectly going into the Variante to Rettifio at the end of this start-finish straight. So he remains absolutely committed to this 100%. And will start braking at the very last moment. Avoid any debris. And by debris, I mean spinning cars ahead. That was how you can use the Parabolica perfectly to set yourself up for a good move into the Variante Rettifio, the first of the chicanes. Brilliant stuff. So, Nico Farland still leading from Devon Isgro. Here is Michael Smeedel then. Now, you can see that he is mired with cars ahead of him, a lot of traffic. So, this, of course, enables a driver to really hone their racecraft, because it is all about overtaking, but not taking too many risks in so doing. So now he'll try and get the advantage of the slipstream off the car ahead of him as they run under the bridges now. This is Michael Smeedel. Is he going to give us a masterclass into the chicane? Well, he wasn't able to make the move at that point, but my guess is he's waiting until after Ascari, which is where we're at now, and now he's going to go for it. Can he do two at the same time? Smeedel has got the inherent speed, but he needs the tarmac ahead of him. Into the Parabolica. Now he uses the inside line. Those two cars ahead of him making it very, very wide. He goes to the inside now. He'll hug the pit straight. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff in this knockout qualifying. I am loving this. Who is going to be king of the late breakers going into the Rettifio chicane? Well, it's Michael Smeedel. Oh, and then disaster strikes as a car goes round in front of him. But I tell you what, I think he has been able to take advantage of that chaos ahead of him. Brilliant driving. Smeedel is up to P9. It was so good that we were able to watch that move in completion. That was brilliant stuff. Farland, I'll calm down now. Farland is leading this knockout session from Isgro, from AB, from Matezzi, Mistretta, Ladamada, Vediga, Kaufman, and Smeedel is up to P9. Here's Wojciech Polesny then, who is running in P15. And of course we start to lose drivers now. Almost lost the plot, so excited was I with Michael Smeedel. We're losing two drivers now on every single lap. Here is Wojciech Polesny. Again, like his countryman, Michael Smeedel, he's got cars in his target sights ahead of him. It's getting by them that is the trick, and to get by them without causing yourself some strife as well. Haase and Teufen are in the danger drop zone as Loris Mistretta sets the fastest lap of this knockout session so far. A 1:25.572. 1:25.572. Farland from Isgro from AB. Florian Haase then, he crosses the timing line now. And unfortunately, it's going to be the end of the road for Haase and Teufen. They are running P19 and P20. Next in the danger zone and drop zone is Roger Marte and Sebastian Hirsch. They are P17 and P18. So Roger Marte with a load of cars in front of him. Now he needs to get by at least two of them to be able to live to fight another lap. And it's very, very busy, as you can see. Let's go on board with Roger Marte now. As, was that a little assist there? Not sure. Race control will take a look at that. Of course they will. And Roger Marte continues unhindered. It still means that even though there was contact between himself and Hirsch, Roger Marte in P17 is still potentially in danger. He needs to get by Yannick Vandenberg ahead. Javier Loro is not far from being in the danger zone as well, to be honest. Whilst all that's going on, Michael Smeedel has got past Enrique Maranon and moves up another place. This is Sebastian Hirsch then, who was on the receiving end of perhaps a little love tap from Roger Marte. I'm sure there was nothing malicious in it at all. Loris Mistretta now sets the fastest lap at 1:25.315, and Kevin Abey gets past Nico Farland, as does Devin Isgro. Devin Isgro is P1 at the moment with 1.5 seconds of margin. That would be brilliant for Devin Isgro if he can hold on to that until the end of this session. As we lose Sebastian Hirsch and Roger Marte, it's now Yannick Vandenberg and Javier Loro. And bear in mind, Javier Loro is P2 in the Drivers' Championship. So this will be a big blow and will mean a lot of work for him to do during the race, because he will be starting from P15 on the grid if everything stays the way it is. And to be fair, I don't think he's close enough to Wojciech Polesny to be able to make a move on him. Yannick Vandenberg then, who's racing in our lounge in Munich. This is Racing Unleashed, our Racer League, as we go beyond the Pinnacle for 2022. And we are in our knockout qualifying, and this is awesome. Delivering everything that we wanted it to in terms of entertainment value for us, race fans. Love it. Of course, proves something of a challenge for our drivers as well, who are coping with it admirably, I must say. So Yannick Vandenberg we watch, Devin Isgro, Kevin Abey, Nico Farland, Loris Mistretta, the top four. Michael Smeedel is now up to P6. Now, anyone that has an argument about this knockout qualifying, well, Michael Smeedel, may I remind you, at the start of this knockout qualifying session, started right at the back of the pack. Where is he now? P6. This is Javier Loro, who has not had the knockout qualifying that he would have liked to, and celebrates, or not, by using the runoff area. So now it's Wojciech Polesny and Dominik Dedic. Now Dominik Dedic, if he can overtake just one car, he would live to fight another lap. Here is Dominik Dedic then. So brakes, holds onto the car through the chicane. Oh, very nearly the back end of the car whale-tailing away. So Dominik Dedic has got the remainder of this lap to try and get by at least one car to be able to have another lap in this knockout qualifying. Can he do it? Well, we stay on board with Dominik Dedic, who's here in our lounge in Kemptal, using all the speed he possibly can now. It's Dominik Dedic and Wojciech Polesny. They are in the drop zone. Dedic needs to be past Holstein, and he's only got this straight and the parabolica. And Wojciech Polesny, of course, needs to get by not only Dominik Dedic, but also the car ahead of Dedic as well. And it just ain't going to happen. I think we're going to be saying cheerio to Wojciech Polesny and Dominik Dedic. Their knockout qualifying session is over. Next, it's going to be Angelo Michel and Christoph Holstein. Now, Christoph Holstein has just got by Angelo Michel. And can he get up the road and try and find his way past Enrique Maranon? That's what he needs to do, as we're into the final 12 cars in this knockout qualifying. So Holstein, Angelo Michel then. Bear in mind, Angelo Michel is P3 in the Drivers' Championship. Wojciech Polesny then finishes his knockout qualifying up against the barriers, which is kind of not where he wanted to be. So here is Christoph Holstein. He's quite some way down on Enrique Maranon. So I think our P11 and P12 drivers are almost shoe-in for being dropped at the end of this lap. What a fantastic onboard shot this is from the Christoph Holstein car. You can see Angelo Michel's car behind. Oh, almost an over-rev there as he was going through the gearbox into that chicane. I think it is going to be game over for Holstein and Michel. Here is Christoph Holstein. We see it from a different angle now. He is in our racing lounge in Zurich, in the Circle in Zurich Airport. And Michael Smeedel now gives us our first lap in the 124s, and it is the fastest lap of this knockout qualifying session. And at the moment, he is running P5. We lose Angelo Michel and we lose Christoph Holstein. And Ivan Kaufmann and Enrique Marinon both getting past Besnik Murtetsi. Here is Enrique Marinon and Besnik Murtetsi then. The P9 and P10 drivers are next in the drop zone as we're into the final 10 drivers, which is the final 5 rows of the grid, of course. Here is Enrique Marinon then, using slipstream, using the inside line, and unfortunately, the gap that was there all of a sudden narrowed somewhat. And that really proved to be a nightmare for Enrique Marinon, whose any chances now of living to fight another lap are all but over unless there was absolute disaster ahead. So the drivers we're going to lose from this lap will be Besnik Murtetsi and Enrique Marinon. Then it will be Vettiger and Kaufmann. Here is Besnik Murtetsi then, and you can see he's got clear tarmac ahead of him. The car in the distance that is just about to make a start into the parabolica is the car of Ivan Kaufmann, which is the car that he would need to get by. And frankly, it ain't going to happen. So we're going to lose Besnik Murtetsi and Enrique Marinon as they round the parabolica. Their knockout qualifying is over, and we're down to the final 4 rows of the grid. The top 8 drivers. So Enrique Marinon, you can sense a little bit of frustration there. Here is Ivan Kaufmann, because it's Kaufmann and Vettiger that become the drivers at threat of being dropped. So Ivan Kaufmann doing everything he can, but again he's in the same situation where the car ahead of him is so far ahead, and that of course would not be enough because he would need to get by not only Vettiger but David Latamada as well. And incidentally, David Latamada doing a really good job in our knockout qualifying today, running in P6. Michael Smeedel, of course, P5, right from the very, very back of the pack. We can take nothing away from that. Here's Fabio Vettiger then, here in Kemptal, using every bit of curb that he possibly can to gain as much momentum and use the speed as best as possible. Now, being advised that race control are taking a look at a lot of incidents during our knockout qualifying. So Fabio Vettiger then, who will be out at the end of this lap, along with Ivan Kaufmann, as they conclude the lap here in Monza. It's now David Latamada and Michael Smeedel that are in the drop zone now. Michael Smeedel is some way down on Nico Farland. So unless Nico Farland makes a critical mistake, I'm not sure that Smeedel is going to be in strife. Here's Fabio Vettiger then. Looks to me like he's pointing in the wrong direction on the track. Here's David Latamada then, who's qualifying, and knockout qualifying I think has been really, really creditable because he's running in P6. There he is inside the cockpit of his simulator. David Latamada in Kemptal here combines his racing activities with his profession as a healthcare professional and firefighter as well. And Michael Smeedel, well, he can see the car ahead, and just look at the determination on the face of Michael Smeedel. He is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink, as he heads towards that car that would, if he was able to get past it, would allow him to stay another lap. I think it's going to be too big a ask even for someone as talented as Smeedel. Sure enough it is. But it has been a valiant and supreme effort from Michael Smeedel, who finishes the knockout qualifying in P5. And once again, I remind you, it's P5 from the very, very last place on the pack of cars that joined the knockout qualifying. A tremendous performance. Now, it's the final 4. Here's Nico Farland, who's P4 at the moment. Needs to get by the car in front of him and then the car in front of him to get into the Super Pole knockout, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Oh, maybe he is. Was that almost a commentator's curse? However, race control will take a look at that to see whether an advantage was taken by Loris Mistretta, who of course was able to shortcut the chicane and therefore gained some valuable time over Nico Farland. It's almost academic because, of course, it wouldn't change the positions necessarily. Well, it would. Perhaps Loris Mistretta would lose P3 and end up P4. But, yeah, race direction, we'll take a look at that. So Loris Mistretta that we're on board with now as we really do reach the conclusion almost of our wonderful knockout qualifying. This has been brilliant. So Loris Mistretta and Nico Farland then, the drivers that will head around the Parabolica, will break the timing beam and their qualifying will be over. And it will be down to Devin Iskro and Kevin Abey, who are absolutely identical in terms of times. So very, very quick, both of them. But here is Kevin Abey. And you can see the Devin Iskro car ahead. Surely this is P2. Surely Devin Iskro has done enough to take P1 and pole position. Of course, everything that we tell you is conditional on race control and our race direction team looking at all the incidents and action there was and has been during this knockout qualifying session. So Iskro, Abey, Iskro and Abey, P1 and P2. They're virtually identical in terms of lap time, which means that Kevin Abey is not able to get on terms with Devin Iskro, who has done a supreme job during this knockout qualifying. Here is Kevin Abey. He's in our racing lounge in Zurich, in the circle in Zurich, which of course is host of a something of a festival to come later on. We'll tell you about that more in the program. But Kevin Abey then rounding the Parabolica. The Quartier Fest is the festival we're talking about. But Devin Iskro, what a performance here in Kemptal. Devin Iskro is congratulated by other drivers here in the lounge. I can see from my studio as Devin Iskro has nailed P1 provisionally here at Monza on the Temple of Speed. Absolutely awesome. I have to say, that knockout qualifying was perhaps the best we've seen in the championship so far. Truly, truly spectacular. And for any of the doubters that said this knockout qualifying ain't going to work, oh, my goodness me. Let's take a look at some of these slow-mos here. This is Besnik Mertetsi being caught. And what a big save this was, until a whole host of other cars would have their influence, and Ralph Beringer then pointing in the wrong direction. Here is Devin Iskro, who has mastered the Monza track. And if everything stays the way it does, it will be P1. Wojciech Polesny and Dominik Dedic were close. Dominik Dedic feeling the unforgiving nature of the barriers. And, well, Wojciech Polesny then was determined to rid himself of the challenge, which was Dominik Dedic. Not absolutely sure that was completely legal, and I'm sure that the race direction team will be taking a look at that. Devin Iskro was unharmed by it and brings himself into the pit lane. As far as he's concerned, it's P1, and that's the way we think it is as well. But as I say, everything is always provisional now. Loris Mistretta, this just proves what a funnel this chicane is. And Devin Iskro parks the car up then in our virtual pit lane here in Monza. He looks pretty satisfied with that, to be honest, and well done to Devin Iskro, but well done to all the drivers for providing a awesome knockout qualifying. Really, really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too, because it just it reinforces what the knockout qualifying is all about. Let's talk then to our man that provisionally is our pole sitter, Devin Iskro. For all those people that said this knockout qualifying is really unfair, you're still being congratulated. Devin, that was an awesome masterclass from you. Well done, pole position. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was a pretty tough race. Kevin had like the same pace I did. But in the end, I stopped pushing because I had a big gap and I don't want to risk a crash or something.
Sure. Now, Devin, when it comes to the race, of course, pole position, you're going to have over 20 drivers up your trumpet, up your gearbox, wanting to come by you. Does that put additional pressure on? I mean, you've done the best you can in quali.
I think starting on pole position is rather pressure release than more pressure, because I don't have someone in front of me. I just have to look at my back. I don't have to look in front and probably crash in someone braking early or something. So for me, it's easier to start in front than at the back.
And presumably, Devin, you've got a clear track ahead of you, as you've just mentioned. That means if you're able to recreate that pace that you had during knockout qualifying, you're going to disappear up the road like a stabbed rat, aren't you?
I think I don't, because Smittle is only P5, I think, and I think at the start and in the first few laps he can pass the other drivers and put pressure on me, and the other drivers are also pretty fast, but I hope I do so.
Well, our fingers are crossed for you, Devin. You've delivered great entertainment for us in knockout qualifying. Well done. Many congratulations, P1, Devin.
Thank you.
So that was Devin Iskro then, who has delivered pole position insofar as we know. I don't think Devin did anything contentious during that knockout qualifying session, but of course Race Control have got access to an awful lot more data and a lot more camera angles than even we do in this fantastic broadcast arena that we have here in our racing lounge in Kemptal. So we will see, and once we have a grid that is confirmed, of course we will bring that grid to you, but that will be some time away, I'm sure, because I'm being advised that there are a lot of incidents for our Race Control team to take a look at. But let's take nothing away from Devin Iskro, who has delivered P1, and he will be starting, we think, from pole position. He did make mention of the fact that there's no question about it, Michael Smeedel is going to be the danger man, or one of the danger men during the race. He did a fantastic job in the knockout qualifying, and at the risk of repeating myself, this is why the knockout qualifying does work, because he started right at the very back of the pack. Where did he end up? Well, he finished P5, so he overtook something, like 15 drivers on his way to that P5 position, proving that this knockout qualifying is almost like another race in itself. So it's us giving you as much value as we can in terms of entertainment value by almost bringing you another race as we go beyond the Pinnacle in 2022. This is Racing Unleashed. Delighted to be with you wherever you're watching us, and particularly to our friends in China. A warm welcome to you. Delighted that you're with us. Let's take a look at the provisional result, and I urge you to really reinforce that word, provisional. This is the way it looks. Devin Iskro, P1. Kevin Aby, P2. Loris Mistretta, P3. Then it's Nico Farland and Michael Smeedel. What a performance from Smeedel. David Ladamado with a very good P6. Fabio Vettiger, then P7. Ivan Kaufman and Besnik Mertetzi, they'll be going from P8 and P9. And Enrique Marinon will be rounding out the first 5 rows of our grid. Christoph Holstein from P11, then Angelo Michel and Dominic Dedic, P13, Wojciech Polesny, P14. So to the 8th row of the grid, where we'll find Javier Loro and Yannick Vonenberg, ahead of Roger Marte and Sebastian Hirsch and Florian Hasse and Jan Teufen, rounding out the first 10 rows with Ralph Piringer and Mark Gasner, P21 and P22. Safety car, look, provisionally P23. Well done, who was ever driving the safety car today. So that's the way it looks, but as I really want to reinforce the fact that is provisional. Race Control, I can see from my vantage point in the studio, have a lot of incidents to look at, and they're looking at them right now. So please believe me, it's all taken very seriously. And knockout qualifying, whilst we can, that's exactly what I can see from my studio. Lots and lots of incidents are being looked at. So that was the provisional order of how everything looked. Is it going to stay that way? We will find out just as soon as they make their decisions. To the very right-hand side of your picture, there, with his hands behind his neck, is Devin Iskro. To his left is Dominic Dedic. And to the very left-hand side of your picture is the bespectacled Roger Marte. There you go, some of the drivers that are looking on at some of the incidents that happened during the knockout qualifying. And Spart, of course, is one of our race directors. along with many others that are sitting there as well, looking at every one of the incidents that took part in that knockout qualifying. So, whilst the investigations are going on, we're going to be taking a trip to Bolton in Manchester very soon as Racing Unleashed, as we give our simulators over to the Rocket F4 Championship, and drivers will be using our simulators up there in Bolton in Manchester.
We're side by side all the way through. Dylan Warren pushed over the curb. Fantastic move. Zach Sweeney onto the podium behind Liam McNeely.
There we go. Fairclough all the way around the outside.
Who will become the next racing star? Well, they will become the next racing star, having driven one of our Formula X Hybrid Evo 2022 simulators made in Maranello. So we've seen our gear up session, we've seen our knockout session here for today as we race in Monza, and so looking forward to the race to come. And it's going to be, if the knockout qualifying is anything like what we're going to expect in the race today, it's going to be absolutely awesome, that I can tell you. So very much looking forward to that race to come a little bit later on today here. And we'll be racing in Monza. Of course, last time out, we were racing the Nürburgring. And we're going to take a look at the ranking positions of our Racer League drivers going into the race today. Of course, we'll be racing here in Monza. Here are the Drivers' Championship positions then. Now, Michael Smeedel, as I mentioned, he had to start right at the back of that knockout qualifying because he's leading by 40 points, as you can see. So some 15 points ahead of Javier Loro, who's P25, P2. Then it's Angelo Michel and Enrique Marinon. Alejandro Sanchez, sadly missing today. Dominic Dedic in that P6 position. Christoph Holstein, P7. Wojciech Polesny, P8. Loris Mistretta is P9. Florian Hassa is P10. Those are the first 10 places in our Racer League Championship, with Jan Teuf, Ivan Kaufmann, David Ladamada, then Mark Gasner, Fabio Vettiger, Roger Marte, P16, Devin Brown, Ralph Piringer, Kevin Aby, and Besnik Matetzi rounding out the top 20 in the Drivers' Championship points, or the ranking for the Racer League, with Sebastian Hirsch, Yannick Vonneberg, Devin Iskro, P23 in the points, pole position today, then Nico Farland. So, how did the cars get on? How did the drivers get on last time out at Nürburgring? We're going to be back in just a while with the race here at Monza. But before that, enjoy what happened in the Eifel region of Germany at the Nürburgring. We have 6 red lights. Oh, and maybe a jump start from 1 or 2 as the lights were extinguished. Here we go. Let's go racing down into turn number 1. Dominic Dedic, P1, already under pressure. Michael Smeedel has already said he's going to do everything he needs to do to put himself into that P1 position. David Ladamada has lost places. So has Haase. But Michael Smeedel already up to P3. He's going to be very much a danger man. Devin Iskro has moved forward. Piringer and Marte have gone backwards. Here's Michael Smeedel then. absolutely determined to take the win here at the Nürburgring. Fabio Vettiger then is in P6. Ivan Kaufmann and Nico Farland having a good battle as well. So lots going on in the early stages of this. We've not even done a third of the lap yet as the cars begin now with the first opportunity to kind of stretch their legs a little bit. The more these two fight and the more Dominic Dedic is defending against Michael Smeedle, it's allowing Enrique Marinon to come back into this fight. So it could end up being a three-way fight for P1. And Smeedle will have to be defending himself as Roger Marte gets past Mark Gasner. And Roger Marte moves up to P9 on the right-hand side of your screen. So here comes Smeedle. He knows he's going to have to get the hurry up now because Enrique Marinon is going to be pushing him. You can see the cars are line astern now with hardly a gap between them. There, Smeedle takes a look at the outside, then the inside. What he's trying to do is unsettle Dominic Dedic on the run down towards turn number 1. Dedic dives to the inside to protect that inside line. Smeedle, though, does try, and this time he's got alongside him. And Smeedle has to lock up under braking, and Smeedle has done it. Or has he? Because Dedic is coming back here. Dedic is going to have the inside for the next. There's a little touch between the two of them. So Michael Smeedle for the moment is P1. Dominic Dedic has to settle for P2. So Michael Smeedle, he kind of rehearsed that move a couple of laps in succession, and finally he makes it work. Javier Loro, bear in mind, going into this race top of the points by dint of his win in Austria, is at the moment out of the points. So he needs to get by Roger Marte and then get by another couple of cars as well to at least put himself into a point scoring position. Look how Roger Marte is defending the inside line as Wojciech Polesny all the way around the outside of Fabio Vettiger to take P5. Another brilliant overtake as Javier Loro also overtakes Roger Marte and finds himself now in P12. So 2 overtakes in succession there. It was like in wonderful crystal clear clutter-free stereo, wasn't it? We were able to bring you both the overtakes at the same time. We've started lap 19 of 20, so the penultimate lap for Michael Smeedle then. And there's Enrique Marinon. Dominic Dedic and he have been absolutely matched for pace, but just a mistake from Dominic Dedic. Just as we were talking, Enrique Marinon does go through to pick up P2. This man has been outstanding as he heads towards the checkered flag. Michael Smeedle wins at the Nürburgring. You'd think he'd look a bit happier about it, wouldn't you? Enrique Marinon will bank P2. Then it's going to be P3 for Dominic Dedic. He knows that it was a mistake coming out of the chicane that cost him that P2 place.
It's annoying, you know, but hey, it's okay, still a podium.
Well done, Dominic Dedic. All smiles now and a big thumbs up. Here comes P2 then. And there you can see all smiles as well as Enrique Marinon takes his trophy.
He made that mistake on the last lap, I think, and that's why I am second. But Derek was all the race defending so great, so it's nice.
And a big handshake and a big smile from Michael Smeedle. P1.
I was aggressive, but in a legal way. I'm all the time like that, and it was a great race for me. And as soon as I had a fresh air, I was able to push, but I still had like 2 or 3 tenths in my pocket, so I could push even more.
And here is the confirmed classification then. No doubting the winner. What a race for Michael Smeedle. P2 for Enrique Marinon. Dominic Dedic then P3. Picking up a penalty, Fabio Vettiger then P9. As we go to the second page of the classification then. And a penalty for Mark Gasner, who on track was P8. He ends up after the penalty P16. And he wasn't the only one. Javier Loro picking up a penalty as well. So did Jan Teufen, who finished the race P21.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
the two cars make contact.
Unglaublich.
¡Wow! ¡Qué pelea! Was war das für ein Rennen?
This is Racing Unleashed.
Welcome back. If you enjoyed the first part of our program, you're in for a treat for the second half. I can predict that because our knockout qualifying was simply awesome. So looking forward to all the action to come. A very good afternoon to you, and welcome to our viewers in China as well joining us, and I hope you're having as enjoyable a time as we are enjoying the action to come from Racing Unleashed as we go beyond the pinnacle in 2022. And that for sure we did during our Racer League knockout qualifying earlier on. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, this year there's a lot new for 2022, including the whole format of Racing Unleashed, where we've introduced now an additional league as well. So we have the Fun League, we have the Challenger League, and we also have the Racer League 2. And to tell us a bit more about that, we're going to find out from our influencer and all-round good guy who is something of an ambassador for Racing Unleashed, and that's Mr. JWW James Walker, who we will be going to in just a moment or two. But just before we get to James Walker, we're going to talk about what happened during the knockout qualifying. Because it was intense and there was a lot going on, and there are a number of penalties. Some of the drivers that have picked up penalties include Jan Teufen. He gets a 4-position grid drop because of an unsafe rejoin. We have some drivers with even 2 penalties, including Wojciech Polesny for causing a collision and then an unsafe rejoin. He picks up a total of 6 position drop. 4 positions for Yannick Vonenberg for causing a collision. Weaving on the straights and changing of direction meant a warning for Nico Farland, but no grid drop. Another driver that suffered, Dominik Dedic, he drops 4 positions because he gets 2 penalties, 1 for forcing another driver off the track and another one for causing a collision. 2-position grid drop for Roger Marte, and also taking a 2-position grid drop is Besnik Mertetsi for causing a collision. That's the very latest we have. So the new starting grid, as a consequence of those penalties, we'll bring to you now, and this is the way it looks then. So, following our knockout qualifying, no change for Devin Iskro. He goes from P1, Kevin Aby from P2. Then it's Loris Mistretta and Nico Farland. Mikkel Smedel, who had a wonderful time during knockout qualifying. Then it's David Ladomada, Fabio Vettiger, Besnik Mertetsi and Enrique Marinon, and Ivan Kaufmann. They round out the first few rows of the grid. Ahead of Christoph Holstein, then it's Angelo Michel, Javier Loro, Dominik Dedic, Sebastian Hirsch, Roger Marte, Yannick Vonenberg, Wojciech Polesny, Florian Hasse, and Ralf Piringer, then occupying the next few rows with Mark Gassner and Johan Teufen going from the very back of the pack. So that's the way the new grid looks after our race director has looked at every incident that took part in the knockout qualifying. And I have to say, all the incidents that did take place during that knockout qualifying, of course, drove a fantastic race for us. It was like a race, that knockout qualifying. And that's one of the features that is new for 2022. And one of the other ones, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, is the fact that the leagues have been expanded. So we now have 3 leagues. We have the Fun League, we have the Challenger League, and we have the Racer League. And our influencer will explain more. Over to you, Mr. JWW James Walker.
Okay, so Racing Unleashed have 3 different leagues conveniently indicated by the various modes on the driver select switch right here. So we'll start with number 1, which is known as the Fun League. This effectively takes place all in a given lounge. So you and your friends can come down here and enjoy racing each other in your own environment. One would suggest as well, it's a pretty friendly, fun driving mode, and you don't have to worry about too much. And then we're going to flick up to driver mode number 2. Now this is Challenger League. So Challenger League is stepping things up a notch, and this is where you can actually start to win real money. It's pretty crazy. For first place, you can win around about 300 euros, which in itself is incredible. Now in driver mode 2, the ABS and traction control is dialed off a bit, but there is still some reserve there. And then we have driver mode 3. Now this isn't actually a league, this is a sort of halfway house seat time area where the ABS and traction control is dialed off even more before you graduate to Racer League, which is up here indicated by number 4. And this is where things get pretty serious. You can win up to 3,000 euros for coming first place, which is bonkers. So don't be afraid to take part. It may look complicated, but take it from me, when you get behind the wheel, it's an incredible event.
As he said, the prize fund available this year, which is in excess of 200,000 Swiss francs, is frankly bonkers. It's brilliant incentive for all our drivers to do the very best they can and go as far as they can in our championship for this year. And it's what incentivizes our racing talents to achieve. And with the addition of the Fun League, there's an even easier entry to this fantastic Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle 2022, and the championship continuing, of course, and will continue with the race to come this afternoon, where we will be seeing our Racer League drivers on track in full effect. Very much looking forward to that. And, well, if, as I said, the race is anything like the knockout qualifying, it is going to be awesome, and you might want to hold on to your hats.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Red lights are off, away we go.
Da müssen die Positionen hergeben.
Wow, qué adelantamiento.
Speed up der Bremse.
Here they go, flat out, really good stuff.
Tremenda pelea.
The two cars make contact.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
Was war das für ein Rennen?
This is Racing Unleashed.
In Zurich, Jan, you picked up a penalty in that awesome knockout qualifying. You've got a lot of overtaking to do.
Yes, I have. I truly have. Made a really bad mistake in lap 5, but yeah, the race was really exciting so far. Was actually really happy with my performance until then, and I guess I just have to find my way back to that form and pick up some places.
We wish you the best of luck in your quest to do that. Jan Teufen, who's in our lounge in Zurich, going from P22. Going from P21 is Mark Gasner. He is in our lounge in Munich. So that's the back end, if you like, of our grid, the final row as we move to the next row, where we find going from P20, Ralf Biringer from Munich, and Florian Hassa also going from Munich as well. He goes from P19, so that is the 10th row of our grid. We go next to the 18th position, which is with Wojciech Polesny in Munich. Also in Munich is Yannick Vonenberg. He will be going from P17 on the grid. We continue our quest through the grid order then, and Roger Marte in Kemptal goes from P16, and Sebastian Hirsch, he'll be going from P15. They are in Kemptal and Munich racing in our Racer League this afternoon. So much looking forward to seeing what they can deliver during the race to come. Now, Dominik Dedic, he goes from P14 here in Kemptal. He was really in the thick of it in that knockout qualifying. There's no question about that. And Dominik Dedic, you picked up a couple of penalties, Dominic. You were among some of the drivers that got penalised, so you are starting perhaps further back than you would like to. So, Dominic, can you hear me? I could almost shout and you would be able to hear me. Well, obviously, Dominic is not able to hear me at the moment. So we move on to Javier Loro, who is going from P13 in Madrid. And Javier Loro, known as the Tornado, you're going to have to find all the power of that tornado, Javier, to move up from P13, aren't you?
Yeah, let's see how the days come. But yeah, we are in a really good position. Let's see how we do the first turn, because it's really important to pass through. Yeah, but really focus on keep overtaking.
That's what you've got to do, and that's what Javier Loro is going to do, proving that he is a tornado. And he will be going from P13. So Javier Loro from P13. Dominic Dedic is going from P14. I'm not absolutely convinced that Dominic Dedic can still hear me. Perhaps he can now. You can, Dominic. What on earth went on in that knockout qualifying? You picked up 2 penalties, friend. And then we lose him again. Technology is wonderful, you know. We have a hamster doing donuts inside a wheel that powers everything. Angelo Michel goes from P12 in the grid, and going from P11 is Christoph Holstein. So that's the 6th row of the grid, which contains drivers in Munich and Zurich. We continue our quest through the grid as it lines up for our race to come this afternoon. So looking forward to this race as well. And don't bet against Angelo Michel and Christoph Holstein being able to do some damage from P12 and P11. So next we move towards the sharp end of the grid then, because going in P10 is the calm driver, Ivan Kaufman. Calm relates to the lounge he's in as opposed to his personality, which is far from calm. He's a really, really feisty racer. And Enrique Maradon from Madrid could be a danger man going from P9. Let's see what happens to those two then. That's the 5th row of the grid. To the 4th row, where we find Besnik Mertezi. He's also situated in calm, and Fabio Vettiger, who is going from Kemptel. They occupy P8 and P7 on our grid. So that is the 4th row completed as we continue our run through the grid for our race to come this afternoon. David Ladamada had a good qualifying, in my opinion. He is going from P6, but the standout star for me during our knockout qualifying, proving that you can overtake in knockout qualifying, Michael Schmiedl he's in our lounge in Munich. You must have over-delivered in that knockout qualifying and achieved even more than you expected, Michael.
Yes, I'm happy with the knockout, and let's go for a win.
You see, you always undersell yourself. You will be absolutely going for that win from the very off, won't you? 4 cars in front of you. Is there a strategy, or are you just going to let it happen?
I'm just going to let it happen, and I'm going to go for it.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, of course. Michael Schmiedl sits atop the Drivers' Championship points. How polite as well. That's really appreciated. Going from P4 is Nico Farland. And then, in calm, is Loris Mistretta then. So, Loris Mistretta, you're going from P3. What a brilliant position to start, Loris. Are you feeling confident ahead of the race?
Yes, I'm feeling confident. I hope that I can overtake these 2 guys ahead me and keep Michael Schmiedl behind me, but the race is long, so let's see.
It is long, and of course the Temple of Speed is a very, very fast track as well, Loris. So, yeah, your strategy is you've got to get ahead of those guys to give yourself something of a margin against the hard chargers behind you, I guess.
Yes, that's the plan.
We wish you the best of luck. Loris Mistretta then, who's going from P3. He is in our lounge in Calm. And Nico Farland going from P4 is in our lounge in Munich. So that's the 2nd row of the grid. Let's move to the front row then. And look at this. Kevin Abbey in Zurich is going from P2. And then it was awesome. An awesome performance from Devin Iskro. Here in Kemptal, he is going from pole position, P1 on the grid. So that's really good news for Devin Iskro. I spoke to him off the air, and he was, as usual, very calm, cool and collected about the success that he delivered during our knockout qualifying. But under that facade, the scenario that you can see on his face, he will be gunning to convert that pole position into the win come the end of the race here in Monza. So good luck to all our drivers, and well done to Kevin Abbey and Devin Iskro. And let's take a look at some of the fast facts about Monza right now. In just a moment's time, we'll be taking a look at the track. Of course, 5.793 kilometers, this Monza circuit, which is why it is entitled the Temple of Speed, because actually there are not so many corners, 4 left and 7 right-handers. So it's a real power-hungry track and a very, very fast track as well. And that's where our drivers are racing. As we reach the 3rd round of our championship this year, my goodness, where are the rounds going to? Of course, last time out we were at the Nürburgring, this time here in Monza, so a completely different circuit that greets our drivers. As we saw from the knockout qualifying, it was to the liking of some and perhaps less so to some of the others. But nonetheless, we are expecting an awesome knockout qualifying to come. And Devin Iskro and Kevin Abey will be leading that pack of over 20 cars around this circuit. And of course, when you come off the start-finish straight, bear in mind the likes of Devin Iskro and Kevin Abey, they are going to have over 20 cars right up their trumpet. And all of the drivers go into the first variante, which is the Variante to Rettifio, which is the first chicane, turns 1 and 2. It is like a funnel, absolutely, because all drivers are squeezing to get through there. And it is always the place where a lot of action happens. So we are down on the grid then, with all the cars lined up, ready to race. This is going to be awesome. We've already seen an awesome knockout qualifying. We are going to see an awesome race, I predict it. Welcome to everybody, wherever you are. We hope you enjoy our program this afternoon and our racing this afternoon. The tension, you can feel it already, is beginning to build, and the sense of anticipation as well. As our drivers will be released, we will throw all the lights to the top of the screen so that you can see the final preparations of the race start. The cars are being revved, and all of our drivers, of course, are in their simulators, whether they're situated here in Kemptal or in Zurich, Madrid, Munich or Calm, it matters not. We are all racing together. This fantastic Racing Unleashed Championship, where we have reached race 3 in our championship already, and we are racing in Monza. Looking through at some of the cars then, Mark Gasner then, he's got work to do, a lot of cars to overtake, a lot of cars ahead, and of course from the front row of the grid, that's the view. If you look into the rear view mirror, that's what you are going to see, all of those cars behind you. Here comes the virtual lighting gantry. The engine note rises, so too does the sense of anticipation and excitement. We have 6 red lights. We're held, we're held, we're held. Now we can go racing. So all the cars on their way then, and Devin Iskro tries to just lock out anyone else that has any ambition or attempts to overtake going into the first sequence of turns here. So Devin Iskro, I think, got a brilliant start. Others in strife already, including Sebastian Hirsch, Nico Farland, and Kevin Abey. And Christoph Holstein as well, and Devin Iskro getting caught out right at the start. But the man with the blistering start was Loris Mistretta. And so too Mikael Smeedel, as Smeedel now has picked up the lead from David Latamada, Kevin Abey, Enrique Marinon, Nico Farland. Then it is Loris Mistretta, Fabian Vettiger, Angelo Mikel. But what a start from Mikael Smeedel then. As you can see from the graphics on the left-hand side of the screen, he is in the lead already, having only done 5 of the turns, and has already built up a margin of 1.3 seconds. It was a disaster following the second turn for our pole sitter, who dropped down the order. Insofar as we can tell from the graphics, this is Kevin Abey then, as the first lap is completed and put in the book here at Monza. So Kevin Abey really calm in that P2 position. Devin Iskro, P16, can you believe it? David Latamada has lost some places, so too has Enrique Marinon as Nico Farland goes by. And look at this man, he is an utter powerhouse. right at the start. I mean, he was cool, calm and confident right at the start of the race. Man, a few words, because he lets his driving do the talking. And his driving in the space of 1.5 laps has built a margin of 1.8 seconds. Nico Farland makes contact, and that costs Nico Farland potentially a couple of places. He gets back going forward, but Nico Farland P4, Kevin Abey P2, David Latamada up to P3 as Wojciech Polesny is running in, or was running in P8, ahead of Mark Gazner and then Besnik Motezi and then Haas. Devin Iskro is trying to make his way back up the order, a P13 at the moment. Angelo Michel losing out to Loris Mistretta. So Devin Iskro then with work to do. Now bear in mind he'd done a super job in the knockout qualifying, then got caught up in the melee going through the first chicane. And here he is. Let's go on board with Devin Iskro now. He knows he's got a lot of cars to overtake to bank crucial points and of course to put that prize money in his pocket, because P13 at the moment is not good enough. We are already starting lap 3 of 21. Enrique Marinon then running in P6 now, because Loris Mistretta has gone by and Angelo Michel is right on Enrique Marinon. So Smeedle from Abey from Latamada, and here is Enrique Marinon. You can see people watching on. What a battle this is between these two drivers. Who is going to outbrake into the next turn? Well, Enrique Marinon, discretion the better part of valor there, as he yielded and allowed Mistretta, as they were absolutely side by side. Smeedle, Abey, Latamada, then the top 3. Ralph Piringer is running in P15. He has Holstein ahead and Yannick Wannenberg behind. Here is Loris Mistretta then. You can see, keeping an eye on the rear view mirrors. Whoa, taking plenty of curb there as that unsettled him. No, it was something of an unorthodox line as he uses the Astro and loses a place. And that was through the Ascari chicane, where he was not optimized at all. Now, bear in mind, Loris Mistretta started from P3 on the grid. So Wojciech Polesny running in P7. He was one of the drivers that picked up a couple of penalties during the knockout qualifying, but that's acted and seemingly been something of an incentive for Wojciech Polesny. We know he's got extraordinary pace, as he's chasing down the 2 cars ahead of him now, braking at the very last minute to go into the Variante di Rettifio on lap 4 of 21. So Loris Mistretta then. Javier Loro, the Tornado. Well, the Tornado appears to have run out of puff at the moment, because he's languishing down there. I think it was P18 for Javier Loro. Now he's on the outside line and loses another place. Nico Farland up to P4. Smeedle leading now by, make this, he's gained a second a lap, because he's up to 4.5 seconds ahead of Kevin Abey and David Latamada. So Jan Teufen, who we spoke to just ahead of the start of the race, he has now lost out to Javier Loro, the Tornado. And on the left-hand side of your screen is Nico Farland, who's chasing to try and unseat David Latamada from the final podium place at the moment. But we are still in the very early stages of this race. Smeedle leading from Abey from David Latamada. Roger Marte trying to get into the action as well, as Javier Loro and Jan Teufen continue to work. And Mikael Smeedle sets the fastest lap as Roger Marte goes spinning around like a Kylie Minogue record. So Michael Smeedle then, fastest lap now, and that means he increases his margin between P1 and P2. It's just a couple of 1,000ths under a full 5 seconds, and now he builds it to 5 seconds. This is Angelo Michel with a lot going ahead, or a lot going ahead in front of him, and unfortunately he was really caught out there and loses out on a position through really no fault of his own, because what he was trying to do was avoid the stricken cars as they were spinning ahead of him. So that means that he drops down the order still further. Roger Marte has had to pit the car. He's unhappy with the way that the car is going. And you can see from the left-hand side of the grid that Marte has had to give up the ghost. And I can actually see from my studio that he's actually out of the simulator. Now Wojciech Polesny, P6, And Devin Iskro is chasing him, because Devin Iskro, you will recall, had a fantastic knockout qualifying and then was called out right at the start of the race. But Wojciech Polesny is on a mission now, using the slipstream to perfect effect. Moves to the inside line, and Wojciech Polesny gains another place. You can see the car appear now in the rearview mirror around the Parabolica as Wojciech Polesny goes by Nico Farland and moves up to P5. Ivan Kaufman having a good race as well in P8. Ahead of him is Devin Iskro, and Nico Farland has managed to get by Wojciech Polesny, but Polesny is fighting back. 3 into the Variante Retafio will not go. Ivan Kaufman in the middle of that little pack of cars, with Angelo Michel and Devin Iskro involved in that as well. Something of a three-way fight going on for P7 between Michel and Kaufman and Iskro, with Christoph Holstein not so far behind either. And here is Ivan Kaufman then, having to navigate his way through the traffic, although most of the traffic is behind him now. So onto the loud pedal he goes in his quest to get closer to the number 7 position of Angelo Michel at the moment. But he's got to be minded of the fact that he's got Devin Iskro right behind him as well. Yannick Vonenberg is running in P17. And while we're watching all the action that's going on throughout the pack, can I just remind you that Michael Smeedel has now put 6.3 seconds margin. Devin Iskro unhappy about something. You could sense that. And now he continues to chase. So Devin Iskro then here in our Chemtal Lounge, now down to P10. Still in the points, but it's a lowly position in comparison to where he started. And David Latamada has lost out to Enrique Marinon, who has picked up the final podium place. And Enrique Marinon running in P3 now. So Devin Iskro, who the race really has not come for him, unlike the knockout qualifying, which was an outstanding success, the race definitely has been more difficult. We are on lap 7 of 21 here. And this is Christoph Holstein, who is in our lounge in Zurich, chasing hard to improve his position. A couple of cars within his target sights ahead of him, and Christoph Holstein looking at those right now and just trying to size up when Holstein can make his move and try and move up the order still further from that P12 position he's in at the moment, with Gazner and Iskro ahead of him. So David Latamada then, who for a few laps was running in P3, now finds himself in P4. Still within sight of the P3 car ahead of him. Now he's not quite close enough to be able to get the advantage of a slipstream from that car ahead. But is he going to be brave enough to brake later than the P3 driver Enrique Marinon going into that turn? There's Loris Mistretta, P9, with Kaufman ahead, Iskro right behind. Into the Variante de Retafio. And Kaufman could really be under threat here. Here's Florian Hasse and Jan Teufen having something of a battle. And again, using the late brake maneuver. Florian Hasse stays ahead of Jan Teufen, who was unable to make a move. Loris Mistretta has gone by Ivan Kaufman to pick up that P8 place. And it's Loris Mistretta that we're watching right now. Next in his target sights is going to be the car of Angelo Michel. And there is the very car of Angelo Michel, just gone past our camera position there. Smeedel now 7.25 seconds to the good over Kevin Abey and Enrique Marinon, running P1, P2 and P3 respectively. Then it's David Latamada, Wojciech Polesny, Nico Farland, Angelo Michel, Loris Mistretta, Ivan Kaufman and Devin Iskro in the points, running in P10. Christoph Holstein just out of the points, P12. He's chasing Mark Gazner. And Holstein then is within, I would say, pouncing distance of Mark Gazner. as they head up towards the first chicane. We ride on board with Christoph Holstein. Which way will he go? Inside, outside. He opts for the outside, which becomes the inside through turn 1. Very late on the brakes, but he made it work. Then makes the car wide on the exit. A brilliant overtake from Christoph Holstein. Really good job done as he continues his ambition, but now he's under threat around the Curva Grande. But again, he's in the perfect position to go through the Variante della Roggio without any problems. It's Lesmo 1 we're at now with Christoph Holstein as Wojciech Polesny is running in P5. So Wojciech Polesny chasing down David Ladomada. Just 4/10 behind him. Here is Wojciech Polesny. Look at the determination now. As I mentioned earlier, he picked up a couple of penalties during the knockout qualifying. Not quite close enough to David Ladomada to get the benefit of the slipstream along the back straight here at Monza. Kevin Abey rounds the Parabolica, and he can just see disappearing up the road Michael Schmidl, who was some 7 seconds up the road. So Kevin Abey then picking up a drive-through penalty. So Kevin Abey then in the P2 position. Enrique Marinon P3, David Ladomada P4, then it's Wojciech Polesny, Nico Farland, Angelo Michel, Loris Mistretta, Ivan Kaufman, Devin Iskro rounding out the points-paying positions. Here is Ivan Kaufman, still looking as determined as ever, using this Formula Hybrid 2020 Evo X car, made in Maranello, to full effect, and a mistake from the car ahead has just played nicely into his hands, and Ivan Kaufman gets ever closer, nailing every apex perfectly, using just enough curb to not unsettle and unseat the car. Florian Hassa, who has confirmed himself in that P17 position. Javier Loro, the Tornado, down there in P18. Then Jan Teufen, Fabian Vediger, and Besnik Mertetzi running in P21. Schmidl, Abey, Marinon, Ladomada, Polesny, Farland, Michel Mistretta, Kaufman, Iskro. And Kevin Abey now takes his drive-through penalty, and that elevates Michael Schmidl, doesn't elevate Michael Schmidl, but it just means that his margin is increased. This is Kevin Abey then taking his drive-through penalty. He will be utterly furious about that. However, the Racing Unleashed competition is ruled with a rod of iron by our race direction team, and they deemed Kevin Abey to have been at fault, and therefore he picks up a drive-through penalty. So Schmidl, Marinon, Ladomada, the top three. So Wojciech Polesny now has got the added incentive of sensing that a podium is within his grasp. And you can almost taste the fact that Polesny knows this and is doing everything he can. Now he is close enough to Ladomada now to get the benefit of a slipstream. This is Wojciech Polesny for the final podium place. To the inside, he's going to have to be keen on the brakes here. A little touch between himself and Dave Ladomada, but I don't think there was anything unfair in that, and Wojciech Polesny picks up that P3 place. Wow, brilliant racing. We predicted that the racing would be really, really good because the knockout qualifying acted as the finest starter in a restaurant, really, to the main course, which is what we're watching right now as Christoph Holstein moves up a further place as well, then makes the car wide to prevent anybody else coming back at him around the Parabolica. Just over half distance in the race because we're on lap 12 of 21. So now it is Schmidl, Marinon, Polesny. Then Ladomada, Farland, Michel Mistretta, Kaufman, and Holstein, and Devin Iskro. So Devin Iskro trying to find his way past Christoph Holstein, who in turn is trying to find his way past Ivan Kaufman. And here we are on board with Christoph Holstein now, absolutely side by side into the chicane. Holstein has got the inside line, and surely it should be advantage Mr. C. Holstein. We will see. Dominik Dedic who's been quiet by his own standards, running in P13 at the moment, with Kevin Abey, of course, returning from his drive-through penalty ahead. So here is Dominik Dedic. We spoke to him on the grid just ahead of the start of the race. And he is just, I think, getting a benefit of some of the slipstream from the car ahead. What he needs is to try and provoke a mistake from the car ahead as well. That would advantage him even more. Angelo Michel just pulls out of the slipstream from Nico Farland, who is running in P5. Angelo Michel, therefore, is P6, with Loris Mistretta doing the chasing behind. Now, Angelo Michel, is he close enough to be able to have a go in the Retafio? I don't think so. But then what the heck do I know? Because here he comes now to the inside. Brakes so late. He was clearly confident in being able to rotate the car through the corner. And it's another fantastic overtake from Angelo Michel. And there's plenty going on as well further down the order with Mark Gasner here. And Devin Iskro side by side as they head up to the next chicane. Iskro, though, got the better line because he was on the inside and therefore is able to show a clean pair of heels for the moment to Mark Gasner, who we ride on board with right now. Lap 13 of 21. We are live with Racing Unleashed Championship Race 3 from Monza, the Temple of Speed, which has delivered phenomenal racing thus far. And the most phenomenal of all the phenomenal racers has got to be Michael Smeedel. P1 by very nearly 10 seconds. And he became P1 within but 2 turns of the first lap. An extraordinary performance. Sebastian Hirsch, well, he's P14 at the moment. Ralph Piringer is chasing him, and Sebastian in turn is chasing the car of Kevin Abey. Here's Nico Farland, P6. Ahead of him is Angelo Michel, who just executed a perfect overtake at the very place that we're at now. This Variante del Retafio chicane. Javier Loro, the Tornado, is running down there in P18, but with Yannick Vonenberger on his outside, he now makes it P17, going through the Retafio chicane. So Javier Loro trying to make his way up the order, but he is relatively a long way back. There's Mark Gasner then. Oh, and a mistake from Devin Iskro plays nicely into the hands of Mark Gasner, who moves himself up into the final points-paying position. It has been an afternoon to forget, unfortunately, in the race for Devin Iskro, who now finds himself P11, therefore out of the points. And bear in mind, he started P1. Here's Loris Mistretta. He's in our lounge in Calm. And he could just get the benefit of the draft from the car in front. He's close enough, moves out of the draft now, takes a look at the inside of the Parabolica. Around the Parabolica, where you carry so much speed onto the start-finish straight, and your exit here sets you up perfectly for a move going into the Variante di Retafio, which is what we're going to see now live as we're on board with Loris Mistretta. He moved to the inside line at the optimum moment, and now, providing his braking and rotation is perfect, which it is, Loris Mistretta is able to move up a place. Brilliant driving from Loris Mistretta. Cool, calm, collected. And talking of being collected is Devin Iskro, who has had a nightmare race. Now gets the car pointing in the right direction once again, but has dropped further down the order. So it goes from bad to worse, unfortunately, for Devin Iskro, who now finds himself in P15. The Temple of Speed has not been kind to him. This is Mark Gasner, occupying the final points-paying position in P10, just ahead of Dominik Dedic, who is still chasing, but we are beginning to run out of time now for any driver because we have started lap 16 of 21. So 5 laps left to run for our Racing Unleashed Racer League drivers, the top one of which, bar none, is this man, Michael Smeedel. What a job he has done. Running in P1, just calmly. I mean, he's almost got enough time to pull into the pit lane, take a sip of coffee, and then rejoin and still be in front of Enrique Maranon. Over 10 seconds to the good. Here's Sebastian Hirsch. He's in our lounge in Munich. And just look how late these drivers brake going into the Variante di Rettifilo. When I was last round the Monza circuit in my rental car, I can assure you I braked a lot sooner than these drivers do. But then I don't have 1 ounce of the talent that they do. Christoph Holstein goes by Nico Farland, or does he? Because Farland fights back. They go side by side. Nico Farland with the inside line should have the advantage. Sure enough, Christoph Holstein, whilst he initially took that P7 place, now has to settle for P8. And it's very sad to see that Devin Iskro has parked the car in the pit lane and his race is over. What a great shame. Christoph Holstein, he's still fighting like mad. So Christoph Holstein in our Zurich lounge. Again, just almost getting the benefit of the slipstream from the Nico Farland car. You can see him just pull out to try and get the inside line around the Parabolica. And Dominik Dedic has moved up to P10, which means that Dominik Dedic is in a points-paying position. Javier Loro, the Tornado, P16. Christoph Holstein on the right-hand side of your screen, P7 now, having executed that move on Nico Farland. Smeedel, Maranon, Polesny, the top 3. And here comes the Tornado, Javier Loro, with Ralph Piringer ahead. Where and when can this young man, Javier Loro, in Madrid, manage to get by Ralph Piringer? Well, we stay on board with Javier Loro. And again, Javier should get the benefit of the draft from the car ahead. Sure enough, under braking, he's able to really close in. He, of course, will be hoping for a small error, small momentary lapse in concentration from Ralph Piringer ahead of him. And Javier Loro is closer and closer and closer. This is the fight that's going on for P15. And Javier Loro certainly will get the benefit of the slipstream on the back straight. So through the Variante Ascaro turns 8, 9 and 10, and it's now that Javier Loro should get the benefit of the slipstream from the car ahead of him. Look how much he's able to close and close and close. Now the inside line was firmly closed, the door was shut. So Javier Loro all the way around the outside of the Parabolica. If he can make this stick, it will be awesome. They are absolutely side by side. And now, of course, they're heading towards the funnel, which is the Variante di Rettifilo. You can see that Piringer just pulls ahead. Javier Loro is trying to keep this inside line. Oh, a valiant effort from Javier Loro, but he just wasn't able to make it work. A brilliant effort and good clean driving from both the drivers as well. Just 3 laps remaining because we're on lap 18 of 21. Where has the race gone? Gone by so blooming quickly. That's where it's gone. And talking of quickly, Michael Smeedel, 11.1 seconds up the road. Extraordinary. Angelo Michel then running in P5. David Ladomada is the car ahead. So David Ladomada in this green car that you can see being chased by this car, Angelo Michel. So could we have a change for P4 before the end of this race as we start lap 19 of 21? We are live from the Temple of Speed, Monza, across our lounges in Kemptal, Zurich, Madrid, Munich and Calm. And Angelo Michel inches closer to the gearbox of David Ladomada. We've seen Michel do a lot of overtaking during the course of our racing. And here is Ralph Piringer losing out to the Tornado, potentially. So Javier then, he's used the last lap as something of a rehearsal and does go by Meantime, Angelo Michel needs to be very conscious of the fact that in chasing down David Ladomada, he is being caught as well. So he becomes not only the hunter, but also the hunted. So he needs to get this overtake done. But to be... Oh, and a little mistake there from Angelo Michel. That's rare. So David Ladomada appears to have everything under control. He's got a pace match at the moment. Ivan Kaufman, who's P11, has got Dominik Dedic within his target sights. Dominik Dedic in the final points-paying position at the moment in P10. Ivan Kaufman continuing to chase. Here's David Ladomada. Now, what was I saying about how Angelo Michel could be under threat here from Loris Mistretta? Mistretta in the yellow car. A little lock-up from Angelo Michel. Now, if Mistretta has managed to get the car rotated through, Mistretta will have moved up. Indeed, he has. Loris Mistretta and Christoph Holstein able to go by. And here comes Christoph Holstein on Loris Mistretta. So Christoph Holstein getting the hurry up. Loris Mistretta fighting back. Wow. Brilliant racing that we're seeing in the closing stages of this Racing Unleashed Racer League race from Monza. Now, of course, all this has played nicely into the hands of David Ladomada, who was being chased heavily, but now, of course, has got something of a margin of 1.6 seconds over Loris Mistretta, who's doing the chasing now, and only the remainder of this lap, plus one more to compete. So that should cement David Ladomada's P4 position. We will see. Here's Angelo Michel then. He's not finished with the overtaking yet. And he has delivered much during the course of the race. Really brave. Hanging it around the outside. Side by side these cars go. This is the battle going on for P6 and P7. Who is going to be bravest going into the Variante de Redefio? Who's going to break the last? It was definitely Angelo Michel. You could see him. He almost stood on the braking pedal. But it worked as he has gone through. Oh, fantastic. As we are on the final lap now. No, please, can we extend the race? Because the racing has been so good. This fight that's going on for P6 and P7 is absolutely awesome between Angelo Michel and Christoph Holstein. At the moment, Holstein has got the upper hand. He's got the whip hand on Angelo Michel. And also David Ladomada has really been caught by Loris Mistretta. So there was me saying it's cemented for him. Well, it's certainly cemented for Michael Smeedel, who wins the race in utter style. A brilliant drive with, look at this, nearly 12 seconds to the good over Enrique Marinon P2, Wojciech Polesny P3. Loris Mistretta did get that P4 place. Enrique Marinon in Madrid is pretty happy as well. Look at that. So Christoph Holstein, then Wojciech Polesny. Wow, what a race. So Smeedel, Marinon, Polesny, the 1, 2, 3. Fabio Vettigo will bank P17. Now, of course, as the cars finish across the line, bear in mind that is the provisional result, because our race direction team will be looking at any instance during the course of the race and they will make decisions. I don't think there's anything to trouble this man. Michael Smeedel, a brilliant drive. Brilliant drive indeed. Here's Besnik Motezi just rounding out as he crosses the timing line now and is our final car to finish in that P20 place. Well, as we look into all our lounges, we kind of knew that the knockout qualifying was something of a teaser for the race to come. We knew the race was going to be exciting, and I can honestly say I do not know where the laps have gone, because every single lap of the tarmac, every single meter of the 5.793 kilometers has been really, really exciting. An absolutely excellent race. Let's take a look at some of the replays then already of what was a stunning race. So right at the start then, so Devin Iskro gets away okay in the initial phase of the start. There's lots happening behind, but Devin appears to have done okay. But that's where Devin Iskro gets caught out initially. Then he gets touched, and that puts him around. And that is why Devin Iskro then, that was really, really unfortunate, because Devin had done a good job to put the car in pole position. There was lots going on, and Kevin Abbey, who picked up a drive-through penalty, that was the reason for that, because the contact there really compromising the race for two other drivers. So the race control team take a look at everything, of course, and this is why we're seeing all these replays. Nico Farland was involved in the thick of the action as well. And just the most innocent of touches can be enough to cause enormous problems, particularly on a track with as many funnels, if you like, as Monza. Enrique Marinon, well, of course, he has managed to overtake an awful lot of drivers, and this was one of the moves that enabled him to do so, because he could take avoiding action across the sausage curbs, which was perfectly legitimate because he was avoiding spinning cars ahead of him, and that put him into a position. There you can see David Latamada and Devin Iskro having a conversation. Devin is far from happy. Of course, he finished the race much, much earlier than he would have liked to, and he was, well, we could see from those replays he was taken out of the race. David Latamada, don't know whether he's going to be satisfied or not. Now, this was Roger Marte, who was out very early on, and that's the reason why. A series of 360s through no fault of his own. Really, really pushed into that. And Jan Teufel on the receiving end of a little touch there as well. And this was Dominic Dedic, who really got thwacked there, didn't he? And Ivan Kaufman, there we can see it from a different angle. So all of these incidents will be looked at by race control. This was Loris Mistretta. And we can see from the angles that we're able to look at now through the Variante di Rettifio. And again, the most innocuous of touches can have the most dire consequences, as it almost looked like a complete roadblock there across the track. So there we have just some of the replays from the action that we have seen. And Michael Smedel, though, he did absolutely nothing wrong, and did the overtaking he needed to right at the start of the race, and is the victor. There you can see conversations going on. Devin Iskro to the very left-hand side of your picture, Dominic Dedic to the very right-hand side of your picture. And a whole gaggle of drivers there gathered around race control here in the lounge in Kemptal. And whatever lounge you competed in, thank you for delivering a great race for us. Whether you're here in Kemptal or Zurich or Madrid or Munich or Calm, we are so grateful to you all for delivering a great race. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did in calling that race. Awesome stuff. And, of course, more to come, as we're only on round 3 of our championship for the season, so a lot more to come. So drivers making their way to relax just a little bit now, following their race. And, as I say, the race just went by so quickly. Whichever way you looked, there was something going on. And, of course, that means our race control team are very, very busy. Taking a look at any penalties that will be awarded. And, of course, even when penalties are awarded, doesn't necessarily advantage those that have been wronged, because, of course, their race has been compromised, and a number of drivers will feel like that. So we're taking a snapshot of all of our lounges now as we go through them all, taking a look at the scenes after what has been a truly, truly action-packed race. Of course, we await the confirmation from race control with regards to the results, which they've got quite a lot to look at and quite a lot of work to do. So we're not expecting that to be the work of a moment. We understand that. And, of course, what we want to do is bring you the full and confirmed result. But provisionally, as the cars crossed the line, that was the order they crossed in. Whether that remains the correct classification remains to be seen. So I mentioned then that, and there is race control. Now, they have the advantage of lots and lots of data at even more camera angles than we do, and they can look at every single incident, if necessary, frame by frame, to make their decisions. I don't think there'll be any decisions taken that will affect this guy, though. Michael Smeedle, he looks pretty comfortable inside the cockpit of the car. We'll be speaking to him in a moment because, as I say, I don't think there's anything that is going to impact what an extraordinary race he had. Did a lot of the hard work, of course, in qualifying. Moved himself up to P5 from the very last place on the grid, and then converted that into P1, and that on, as I say, I don't think he'd even done 3 turns before he was in the lead of the race, and that meant that he was, and that meant that he really, really achieved. Now, Wojciech Polesny, you had a torrid time of it during qualifying, a lot going on. But in the race, your racecraft was extraordinary. A brilliant, brilliant race. You must be thoroughly pleased.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, I think there was nothing special about. I only focused to myself and nothing the others. And as you said, the racecraft was very beauty.
Yeah, and when you focus on yourself and you just concentrate on what you need to do and just seizing the opportunities to overtake those cars in front of you, you did it really, really well. And I think, if memory serves me, this is your first podium this year?
I think so. I was maybe P4 up to Nürburgring. So, yeah. It's first podium.
Well, many congratulations to you, Wojciech Polesny. He's in our Munich lounge then. And, of course, for our Czech Republic racers, it's a very good result because Wojciech Polesny taking P3 and, of course, it will be Michael Smeedle P1. So really well done to Wojciech Polesny taking P3 provisionally. And I say provisionally because we need to look at everything. And here you can see conversations going on. And to the very left of your picture is Devin Iskro. Now, he started the race in pole position. I'm talking really quietly because he can probably hear me now, and I really feel for Devin because he was nerfed out right at the start of the race, and unfortunately was able to not maximise his pole position. Enrique Maranon, of course, provisionally, we will be seeing on the second step of the podium. He's in our lounge in Madrid. Enrique Maranon, many congratulations, P2. Please talk us through how you managed to achieve such a great result.
I did a really great start. I think I was on P9, and on the straight, I was on P7. After the first chicane, I was on P5, and I was fighting a lot with P4 and P3. And then when I overtake P3, I had a head. I think he was heavy, and I don't know what happened to him, but he drove into the pit lane, and all the race I was driving alone in a really good pace, like in 24.9, and that's all the race.
And Enrique, what I will say is, and I'm not taking anything away from your performance, which was extraordinary, but Michael Smeedle, I think he finished some 11 seconds ahead of you, so there was no chance for you to catch him.
Yeah, it's obviously that he was 11 seconds ahead, but I don't think that he had a much more pace than me, because I was catching him after I had a really big mistake, and I was not focused on the last part of the race, so I was losing a little bit of time, but I don't know if I did the fastest lap of the race or if someone takes out of me the fastest lap.
Well, certainly you were quick throughout the race and a well-deserved P2. We look forward to seeing you on the podium. Provisionally, Enrique, of course, because race control looking at everything, but I don't think there's anything to trouble. Enrique Maranon's P2. Many congratulations to you in Spain. Great drive.
Thank you.
So great to talk to Enrique Maranon then. So we've talked to Wojciech Polesny, who we're expecting to be on the third step of the podium. Enrique Maranon then on the second step of the podium, and you know what that means. Yes, of course. As we continue our look in the lounges then, as everyone discussing everything at the end of the race. What a race it was. So Michael Smeedle then, it was an absolute masterclass. Now you're a man of few words, and I'm going to try and generate more words out of you, because the pace that you had was exceptional. But I think, Michael, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there was even 3 turns before you were in the lead of the race.
Yeah, that's correct, Dave. I was in the lead after the first chicane, and then I was pushed by whatever reason from the guys from the inside, but I didn't get any advantage, so I stick to P1 because I was first to that corner, and after that it was just a lovely Sunday drive.
Now, you and I have had conversations about the knockout qualifying. That you did a lot of the hard work in knockout qualifying because you started from P5. I'm not trying to say that it was easy for you. You still got 5 cars to overtake inevitably, but you proved what a great racing driver you are today.
Well, once again, thank you very much, and I'm always trying to do my best, even though the format is not in my favor, and nothing is going to stop me.
My final question. In that knockout, you went from the very last place to 5th place. So I'm not believing what you're telling me. It's not in your favour because you can just overtake everything. I just want to put one more question to you. Wojciech Polesny, of course, countryman to yourself. He's going to be on the podium as well, P3. That must be nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. I'm happy for him because since the start of the season he was really unlucky. So the cards turned around for him, I guess.
You're absolutely right. Listen, we look forward to seeing you on the top step of the podium, and well done, Michael Smeedle. Another masterclass from you. And, of course, he cements his position on the top of the championship points. It's going to be brilliant. I'm so enjoying the season.
Thank you very much, Dave. Let's push.
Yes, let's push, and push is exactly what Michael Smeedle does, and great. Thank you so much for talking to us. So we've spoken to the P3, P2 and P1 drivers, and there you can see now that he's got through the audacity of having to talk to me. He exits the simulator. He's a big bloke, is Michael, and he made getting out that simulator look really, really easy. May I just say, when I tried to get out of the simulator, they needed to bring in a high-ab crane. It wasn't quite so easy for me. So there we have it then. The race control is as busy as ever as they look at all the incidents that went on during the course of the race. So we let them do their work, which is much and many, before we bring you the confirmed result and, of course, the confirmed podium. Let me remind you that following this race here at Monza, we stay in Italy virtually because the next race, race 4, is in Mugello. Now, it's an altogether different circuit in Mugello as it rolls its way through the Tuscan countryside. That is our race 4. Then we have 2 dates in the UK, virtually, as we go to Brands Hatch and Silverstone for races 5 and 6. Race 7 is at Spa-Francorchamps through the Ardennes Forest in Belgium then. And then it's the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona in September for race 8. Race 9 will come from that brilliant circuit in Zurich Airport, which is designed just and exclusively for Racing Unleashed. And then race 10 will be, once again, in Italy, as we go to Imola. There is confirmation of that calendar, and of course, brilliantly, we get to enjoy the Challenger League races on the Saturday and the Racer League races on the Sunday. There are all 10 races for you to put in your diary and make sure that you watch, because I think if today is anything, it is just a perfect show for you to really, really know that you're going to enjoy the rest of the racing to come from Racing Unleashed as we go beyond the Pinnacle in 2022. Here is our provisional podium. I say provisional because until race control confirm everything, Michael Smeedle on the top step of the podium. Enrique Marinon takes a well-deserved P2, and Wojciech Polesny will take P3. That's how we expect it to be. But it is, and I reinforce the fact that it is our provisional podium with Michael Smeedle P1, Enrique Marinon P2, and Wojciech Polesny P3. So Race Control continue their work. Now, just as we went through the calendar, the one race that I didn't mention, which is not part of the championship, but is going to be very, very exciting, is the non-championship Battle for Glory, which is on the 11th of December. Now, I can't tell you where that is going to be held because I don't know. And if I did know, I would tell you, but I don't. I haven't even been sworn to secrecy because they won't tell me. It's going to be at a venue to be decided, to be confirmed. That's on the 11th of December, a non-championship event, the Battle for Glory, where there is a prize fund up for grabs as well. So the championship will all be done and dusted mid-November, because our final race in the championship will be at Imola in the middle of November. But then at the beginning of December, well, 11 days into December, we'll be off to us yet an unknown circuit to contest the Battle for Glory. And there will be Battle for Glory races in both the Challenger League and Racer League. And there, as if by magic, is confirmation of that. You can watch live our Battle for Glory at this secret track on December the 11th. And there is the prize money for the Battle for Glory, which is completely separate to the championship. So if you win in the Challenger League, you put $1,000 in your hand. If you win in the Racer League, it's $2,500. And here's the prize money for the championship season. Now, you can see you take 3,500 Swiss francs for a win in the Racer League, and you take 500 Swiss francs for a win in the Challenger League. And that's why when you combine all of that lot along with the Battle for Glory prize money, you're looking at a prize fund from Racing Unleashed in excess of 200,000 Swiss francs in 2022. Told you right at the start of the program, there's lots new in 2022, and an even bigger prize fund is part of it as well. So there is a lot for these drivers to fight for. That's why it is taken so seriously. It is proper racing. And once again, there is our provisional podium. And there once again is the list of the prize money that you could be winning. And of course, what we've done is introduced another league. This is confirmed. I can bring you breaking news coming through my headset that this is the confirmed podium. Michael Smeedle is the race winner. Enrique Marinon takes P2 and Wojciech Polesny takes P3. I have to be honest, didn't expect that to change. I didn't think there was anything contentious in the top three. So Smeedle, Marinon, Polesny will be the drivers that we'll be seeing not only on our virtual podium but on our real podium in the lounges as well. And those lounges that will feature in the podiums will be Madrid and also Munich, because both Wojciech and Michael are in our Munich lounge. So there you can see, I think they're getting ready to head up towards the podium now. Wojciech Polesny, you can see they're just walking to the right-hand side. He's just put his drink bottle down on the table. He's about 7 foot tall, you know. They're heading up towards the podium now. So we'll be bringing you the podium ceremony when indeed it is enacted. And Michael Smeedle, in a sense of anticipation and showing the speed that he did in the race, is already on the podium. So too, now get off, because we're not ready. He's been told. I think he was just warming up and making sure that he knew his way around. So there is Wojciech Polesny. Many congratulations to the Czech Republic driver who takes P3. He is on the third step of the podium in our racing lounge in Munich. He propelled his Formula X Hybrid 2022 Evo to his third place of the year, and he collects his trophy. Well done, Wojciech Polesny. Many congratulations. A good P3. A big thumbs up from Wojciech then. He's taken his P3. And P2, of course, goes to Enrique Marinon in Madrid, and he receives his trophy. Well done, Enrique. A brilliant drive from you to take P2. They're very happy with his podium position. And joining his countryman, but on the top step of the podium, Michael Smeedle, bright red shoes. And he collects his trophy for taking yet another race win and reinforcing his position right at the top of the championship. Michael Smeedle, once again, race winner, P1. Many congratulations. It'll be an enjoyable drive back tonight for those two, having taken P1 and P3. So well done to all of our drivers that are on the podium, but especially to Michael Smeedle for taking the win. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Big smiles from Michael as well. And before the end of the season, I promise you I'm going to convince him about the knockout qualifying. He proved it today. P20 to P5 in knockout qualifying. P5 to P1 in the race. Brilliant stuff. And that's an aggressive stance, if I may say so. And P1 for Michael Smeedle. P3, of course, for Wojciech Polesny. The reason you see both of them there is because they are in the same lounge. So there we have it then. What a race. What a knockout qualifying. In fact, everything from Racing Unleashed this weekend has been awesome. The Challenger League was excellent. The Racer League today has been excellent as well. All in all, a fantastic weekend of racing from Racing Unleashed. So I put my glasses on to ascertain what we can look forward to next. And there is... You know what I need to do is go and do some exercise. And I'm going to just give you a little tip here, all right? I'm going to have an appointment with our Chief Fitness Officer, Ralph Muller. And you think I'm just shaking up this bottle of water? Oh, no. There is something behind that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. See you next time around. In the meantime, here's Ralph Muller to give you some exercises.
Hi, everybody. Here are my fit and fast exercises for the upcoming challenges. A strong neck supports your upper spine in the dynamic racing Unleashed simulator. So Ben, next exercise, front plates with twists. You need a weight for this. So let's start. Go a little bit down. We're going down and up. Arms straightening up and now the twist. Okay, 15 times. Yes. Very good for the shoulders. We will feel it. Great. Thank you very much. I get Zero and Tanya. And we do the twist. Yes. Great. So you feel the shoulders, right? Yeah, guys, that is how champions work out. Okay? Racing Unleashed. Get fit and fast with me. The Superman is not only a great exercise for your back, it also helps your balance and concentration. So, Ben, bring the belly button to your spine and straighten up your right leg and your left arm. Keep your head up, and now we hold it. 15 to 20 seconds. Fantastic. Okay, we get Tabea and Thomas, please. Right arm and left leg. Yes, always 10 times hold that position. That's it. Let's go to the next one. Racing Unleashed. Don't miss it.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Red lights off, away we go.
Da müssen die Positionen geben.
Wow, qué adelantamiento.
Später Bremse.
Here we go, flat out, ready stuff.
Tremenda pelea.
2 cars contact.
Lovely.
Wow, qué pelea.
Was war das für ein Rennen?
This is Racing Unleashed.